Are you treating your career like a passenger, just waiting to see where the road takes you? Or are you firmly in the driver's seat? Most professionals wait for opportunities to fall into their lap. But our guest today says it's time to stop letting your employer manage your destiny and start acting like the CEO of your own career. Welcome to Talent Thrives Here, the podcast where we unpack what it takes to unlock your professional potential, navigate the shifting job market, and build a career that truly thrives. I'm your host, Lance LeFort of LeFort Talent Group. We are a recruiting boutique firm, and we recruit for talent right across North America. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Mindy Stern. Mindy is a powerhouse career strategist, leadership development expert, and the founder of AIM Resource Group. If you've ever felt stuck in your current role, invisible on LinkedIn, or terrified of your next job interview, you'll want to grab a notebook or a tablet and stick around for the next few minutes. Mindy is going to break down the exact mistakes ruining your LinkedIn visibility. The single piece of advice interviews and interviewers want to know, and you need to hear this stuff, and a client transformation story that will completely change how you view your professional value. Mindy, after all that, welcome to the show. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Lance. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Great. It's nice to network with you. I think we bump into similar circles online with a number of different groups. So it's lovely to finally have you on our show. I wondered if you could top off right at the beginning here, the AIM mission, how AIM came about, and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lance, this goes back to 2014. So picture this. I am the head of human resources for a large national bank in New York City. And I've been there for many, many years. And one day we were notified that we were being acquired. Great. I had lived through at least 5 acquisitions prior to that and led most of them. So it's not a problem for me. But the day the HR manager from the other bank told me that I was letting go of my entire team on that Friday,
Wow.
it changed my life.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, I never want someone else to tell me when my last day is. I want to decide that myself.
Yeah.
And so I started my own company. I said, I'm not going to go out looking for something else because I know myself and I will get very comfortable in my next job as well. I want to give myself a year to see if I can build a company that really helps people to navigate their careers and own their own careers and not depend on someone else to say, here's your paycheck. I wanted to do it myself. And within a couple of months, luckily, I was quite successful. And that experience is what has driven everything. It drove the book that I created. It drove my need and my desire to give back to that community. And so in 2020, I formed the Accelerator Career Group, which is specifically a LinkedIn private group for job seekers. Every single month, I provide some kind of free resource, a presentation of some kind, so that those job seekers don't feel alone. We have this beautiful community. We have wonderful speakers who educate, enlighten, motivate, and job seekers feel like they have a place to go. So I do both ends of it. I host those sessions, and I do one-on-one coaching, and I do group coaching as well for all the needs that I come across every day.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, your origin story sounds so interesting because similar, I was an HR director, and oftentimes I walk in a room and there's just a list, and they're like, all these people need to go by next Friday. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out the packages and, the severances and this sort of thing. But I remember being at one place where 6 months previously we'd hired, I don't know, 250 some odd people for a bunch of new projects, and we'd onboarded them and trained them and done all this sort of great stuff to welcome them into the company and get them on the right foot. And then maybe 8 months later, the sales pipe had dried up. So they said, you've got to let all those folks go. And I'm like, well, we just spent 8 months getting them up to speed. And they were like, yeah, well, no, they have to go. And then I think it was maybe 72 hours later, they said, yeah, we're going to collapse the whole company. I'm like, what?
Wow.
So, but it's one of those things. Like you said, you sort of like, obviously conversations have been happening and you're not at the table. And they are drastically affecting your career and your outlook. And so I appreciate, there's a lot of entrepreneurial chutzpah you've got to have to, as you know, you're
Yeah.
wearing many more hats now than just being an employee, right?
But
It's
when you talk about layoffs, now I'm on the other side because I love to talk to HR directors who tell me they're having layoffs.
right,
I do outplacement all the time, and I will
right,
take a whole group of people and help them through the next steps so that they leave with a little bit of a smile on their face and they
yeah,
have a really good sense of this company's taking care of me. It's
right,
so important. So now I get to respond to HR directors who say, Mindy, help, we have to lay off all these people and some of them are so fabulous. Can you help us?
yeah,
So I'll send them to you, Lance, to get the jobs, but I'll prep them first. We'll
great,
position them. We'll get them their resumes ready. We'll get their interview skills ready. And
yeah.
then we'll move them over to you and you can get them placed. How's that?
It sounds like a great symbiotic relationship. I like it. um, we talked before the call about common roadblocks. What are you seeing as sort of the biggest frustrations or obstacles your clients are dealing with before they come to you? Are they struggling with a lack of confidence or navigating a messy career change or dealing with job loss, realizing their LinkedIn isn't generating there's a whole bunch of things, but what do you see as sort of the common top two or three things that they're stuck?
Yeah. So stuck is the right word. I think job loss is such a hit to the confidence, right? And
Yeah,
a lot of people link their egos
mm,
to their job title. And
right,
all of a sudden, when that job title is pulled away, who am I?
right,
I'm no
right,
longer
right,
the director of HR. So who am I? I've been doing this for 20 years. Now who am I?
right.
And so that lack of confidence we have to address number one, because mindset is everything. And if you feel like you're not valuable, you're not. You have to be able to present yourself in a certain way. So number one is lack of confidence. The other issue is most people who have been in their jobs for a long period of time are not familiar with how to use LinkedIn. They're not understanding the powerhouse that is. And so when everyone says, well, go to LinkedIn and fix your profile up, and what does that even mean? Nobody, they don't know if they've been so included inclusion, they've been so close to their careers that they haven't been thinking about what happens if that career ends tomorrow. And that's where I was. Do you know, when I was laid off, I only had about 120 connections on LinkedIn because everyone I worked with, I knew I didn't have to be on LinkedIn. I saw them on a daily basis. And so that minute when I decided I'm going to start my own company was the minute I said, I need to start looking back in my Rolodex. Remember the Rolodex? Who am I not connected with? And I started, every day I connected to 5, 10 other people. And I eventually got up to, my goal was 500 at that time. But you don't necessarily take care of your career while you're working your career. And so that's part of what we have to, transcend. You do have value, and let's look at what that value is. And then let's look at LinkedIn specifically. What do you need to change here to position yourself for your next step? What's your next step? Let's position you correctly on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's interesting when you said it because I think the same. Like a lot of people put their head down, they're just doing their job, right? And I often think of sports analogies. Imagine you're some famous hockey player, soccer player, whatever, and you're just playing the game every day, playing the game, playing the game, playing the game. But most of those people have an agent who's thinking about the business side, right? And for an employee, you don't have an agent, you have to be your own agent. You have to
Yes.
think about whether it's only an hour a week or an hour a few weeks or, but sit down and strategically look at your own resume and go, where could I be in another 2 years if I gained this amount of experience? And, what sort of milestones do I want to have on my resume in the next 18 months? And then parlay that into what direction does that go? And it could be you're vying for a more senior position at the company you're at, but if those aren't available because there's too many people, or you might think, well, maybe I want to become a director or vice president somewhere else. So what are the building blocks to get there, right? And to your point, I think I can remember calling a very very prominent copywriter years ago at an ad agency when I was recruiting in advertising. And I said, I got this great job and blah, blah, blah. And she said, hey, buddy, I've been here 11 years. I'm not going anywhere. She said, I don't need to leave. I'm not hungry for a job. She sort of dismissed me and the
Mhm.
opportunity. And I was like, I remember walking like off that call thinking she was quite rude. And so I, went and called 25 other copywriters and found another winner somewhere else and got that person the job. 6 weeks transpired. That person that was quite rough with me called me back and she'd just been laid off. And her whole division was collapsing and a whole bunch of them were getting laid off. And now she was like, hey, is that job still available? I'm like, no, I filled it 4 weeks ago. And, what was that about being there 11 years and being quite comfortable? And, I didn't want to get into it, but I just thought she was overly cocky and overly confident.
Mhm.
And things change. And as we talked about earlier, sometimes there's a conversation going on in another room that you are not privy to. It's going to impact your career. So
Absolutely.
I think she really needed to take a point from what we're talking about. Is like, be careful, have a bit of your energy spent on where am I going and what could I do if it's those rainy day things. If this place does collapse or this job collapses or my boss leaves and then the whole flavor of the organization changes, there's you got to be wily. You got to have your spidey sense tingling, I guess, because things could happen.
Yeah, it's so important to be watching out for yourself. And one thing I tell people is if you do nothing else, start jotting down your impact. What is something you did today or this
Right.
week or on a weekly basis
Yeah.
that you could tell a story about?
Yeah.
Somewhere that you made an impact. Because if you're at a job 11 years, you're not going to remember what happened day one or day
Right.
23. But if you make a habit of making a journal or a spreadsheet or however you like to document your things, just jot down something that you made an impact because the results matter. Those resumes that come up with 11 years of experience or 20 years of experience, nobody cares about that.
Right.
People care about what your results are. And if you
Yeah.
haven't documented your results, I cannot tell you how many people come to me, Mindy, I don't know where to start. I need a new job. I just got laid off. I was just talking to someone this week. Her entire department is going to be laid off. They know August 1 is their last day. She's been there 19 years. She has done nothing to prepare herself for the next step. So, my advice to anyone who's listening, take a moment, create a document, and start adding it and make it. Maybe it's your Sunday night thing or your Monday morning thing, whatever you decide to make it a habit. Jot down one thing that you're proud of because those numbers are going to matter when you need to create a resume, right? When I go back to ask one of my clients, okay, let's start looking at your resume. Oh, yeah, I can do everything. And that doesn't help me. I need to know what problems you've solved. I need to know what efficiencies you created. I need to know what makes you different than every other qualified candidate you're going to be up against. Because Lance, you can tell them for every job, there's probably 100 qualified candidates.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And that especially in a slower economy, right? We're seeing that a lot now. Someone posts an ad, if you see, especially see them on LinkedIn where, in 24 or 48 hours there's like 600 applicants and
Yeah.
it'll show you the education level. These people have PhDs and masters and so on, so on. So, um yeah, if I went back to the sports analogy, it's very competitive and you have to have your stats. You have to know what you did was right, or if it's not your individual achievement, what were you able to impact on the team so that the team won, right? And
Mhm.
it's some people, you probably find it too, they sort of like worry that this is too egotistical for them. I'm like, no, no, this is the only moment you have to potentially talk about your accomplishments. Don't be shy about it. You don't have to brag about it, but at the same point, people want to know the data and the KPIs and what happened and you know were there losses? How did you accommodate for those? And how did to your point, they have to build a story around the interview, and so that they're ready for the interview rather than walking in going, you know, uh,
Yeah.
they've got to get ready for the dance well before the beginning of the dance. Um,
It is your time to shine. This is not the time to be. Oh, it wasn't me. It was the team. Okay, now we need to break it down because I'm not hiring your whole team. I'm hiring
Yes,
you potentially. Tell me what I would get if you came on board.
absolutely, absolutely. I want to tackle your big turnaround story because I know we talked about it earlier. Let's. What is the big turnaround story we wanted to put out there
Okay,
on?
so last year, um, a potential client came to me and said he found me on LinkedIn just from my posts, and he said, I don't know what to do. I have sent out at least 400 resumes. I have gotten zero,
Right,
zero responses, and nothing. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I feel like I have no value, and I feel like I'll never find another job. And can you help me? And I said, of course I can help you. So what did we do? Number one, I had to have a conversation with him and help him understand what his value was. Number one, we figured that out. Then we went into his profile, his LinkedIn profile, and we started dissecting it because nowhere in that profile did it tell me the things that he just finished telling me that he had done, that he had
right,
accomplished, the problems that
right.
he had solved. Nowhere was it there. And so we revamped the entire profile. And then we started talking about who he needs to target to send out his resumes, not to spray and pray. We
Hmm.
all know that horrible expression. We don't
Yeah,
just send it out to anyone. We need to target. Who do you need to target that would be your best person to get you into the next role? He found that group of people. He started targeting them. I started talking to him about engagement on LinkedIn, all the things that you need to do to make yourself a credible resource. Within 2 weeks, he had not one, but two job offers.
wow, wow.
Two job offers. And the whole conversation flipped from how can I interview? What do I talk about? Or what do I say about myself? To Mindy, how do I negotiate between these two offers?
Wow, amazing, amazing.
So I never say we can do things in 2 weeks, but for him, he was so ready. And a lot of it is with my clients, when they're ready for change, it can happen very quickly. And
Right.
I've seen this over and over again. Some people are not ready for change, and then it takes a little bit longer. But he was so ready. I think, you talk about pain points. His pain point was, is it possible that I have worked? I think he was at his company, I think it was 10 years. I worked for 10 years, and of the 400 resumes I've sent out, not one is interested in me.
Mm,
It's not that they weren't interested. He wasn't sending it to the right people. He wasn't applying for
right.
the right jobs. His profile did not back up what he said he did. And he had no idea how to interview either. So
Yeah.
his interview style was, woe is me. Nobody cares. Don't tell everybody that you've sent
Yeah.
out 400 resumes. You can tell me, but don't tell your
Yeah.
interviewers that stuff.
Yeah. I joke it's like dating and you've just gone through a bad breakup. The new, you know, dinner date doesn't want to hear about your last one.
No,
You know?
no,
Yeah.
no. So all of that helped him. And he's doing great now.
That's fantastic. Great story. Excellent. So hey, I'm watching the time. Let's do some lightning round. I have a couple quick questions. Best career advice you've ever received, Mindy Stern?
Okay, so picture me. I'm brand new. I worked at a temporary staffing company, right? Brand new on the job, didn't know anything. I was paid peanuts. A year in, I had revamped everything about that company. I got backwards and forwards, and I very cautiously went to my boss and asked him for a raise. And he said to me, Mindy, you will never earn more than $9 an hour.
Wow.
And I have spent the rest of my career proving him wrong
Right.
because it was a challenge for me. I said, what? Like I was
Yeah.
so nervous to ask him. And then he said these words, but it's lit a fire under me. No way is anyone ever going to say that to me again. And
Yeah.
I so far surpassed that very, very quickly. And I jumped over his level, ended up reporting up to the president instead of to him, ended up
Yeah.
terminating him. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing all down the
Uh,
road. It was really, so that was the best. If someone gives me a challenge,
yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah. Don't piss Mindy off. Yeah. I've been thinking every Christmas to send him a pay stub, you know, a photocopy of here's what I made this week. Here's what.
I like that idea. It's just
Um,
it's just such a good feeling all the time.
yeah, yeah. What's that? Living well is the best revenge, right? Um, Worst interview behavior you've ever witnessed?
Oh gosh. So now I'm head of HR for the
Yeah.
bank and I'm interviewing for a recruiter. We had a on-site recruiter. And resume was beautiful. I had beautiful references for him. Um, but I am a stickler for time. And now it's 10 minutes past our interview time, and he's nowhere to be found. No
Uh-oh.
phone call, nothing. He races in and doesn't even say hello and goes right to the bathroom. And now he's in the bathroom 10 minutes. That's 20 minutes late. So imagine you want to be my recruiter, you want to work for me directly, and you can't. It was beyond. He
Yeah.
walked in and I said, hello, who are you? I have an interview. I said, you had an interview. It was 10 o'clock. It's now 10:30. I have three other interviews behind you. Oh,
Wow.
can't you give me another chance?
Nope.
No, you told me who you were immediately. What? I
Yeah.
don't even say two words to you. You think I want to
Wow.
deal with you on my staff? So no, that was
Yeah.
the worst. Wow.
Time to go.
Wow.
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 Okay. One LinkedIn feature everyone should be using but isn't.
Yeah. So I don't know if everyone knows, but on your phone, you can actually leave a voicemail message in the DMs.
Right.
Most people don't do that. And so if you're going to do that, and let's say you're a job seeker and you want to leave a message for a recruiter, how cool that to them to hear your voice. You can
Yeah.
do it. It takes 2 seconds and you can, I think it's like under a minute, but whatever it is, you have the opportunity to actually have them hear your voice. So I would
Right.
say use that.
Absolutely. Totally down with that one. A book every leader should read.
When I read Good to Great, Jim Collins wrote a great book many years ago. It was the first time I ever thought about that concept of good is not good enough,
Hmm.
And even the tagline for my company is aim higher. We
Right.
all are aiming for something, but if we aim too low and hit the mark, what do we accomplish? We want to aim higher, and so this concept of good to great, I think, is a great one. Um, yeah, we're great, we're good, but can
Yeah.
we be great? So I love
Absolutely.
it.
Great. What is the number one thing you think people completely misunderstand about career coaching?
So coaching is not therapy. Coaching Coaches are trained to help you think forward. We don't look in the rearview mirror. I don't
Hmm.
ask you what your mother did to you that makes you so messed up.
Hmm.
It's there. It's done there. It's been that. Been there, done that. I like to look forward. And I like to ask good questions, great questions that help you figure out what the next step is going to be. And so that I think is a common misconception. Oh, I don't really need therapy. You probably don't need therapy. You need a guide. You need someone who's been there, done that, and done it many, many, many times. So you don't have to do it yourself. This is not
Hmm.
a DIY project. This is more of
Right.
a community project. Let's take all the information and let me help you move to the next step of your career, accelerate your career. You don't have to feel stuck in the mud. And I've talked to so many people, oh, I just can't afford it. You can't afford not to.
Right.
How much longer are you going to, like that guy who had sent out 400 resumes? Why? And he
Yeah.
always says, I'm just kicking myself that I didn't speak to you 9 months ago.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I didn't have to be so hard on myself. I could have just done all this and I would have been there that much faster.
Yeah. No, I
That,
totally agree.
that's a
Great.
misconception.
Just wrapping. Oh, one, I wanted you to plug your book. Can you, well, hold your book up for a second? I
Oh,
have a
sure.
copy sitting just a few
Um,
feet from me, but there we go.
you are
Excellent.
the CEO of your career. Love the title, and it's just so applicable. If you feel like you're the CEO of your career, you're going to take those steps. You're going to start jotting down what you did to earn your
Yeah,
keep this week, right? You're
absolutely.
going to start writing down things that you never want to forget, things that are so important to you. Don't wait for someone else to run your career for you. You
Yeah,
have that ability. We live in America. If you live in America, I don't know how far your audience is, but if you live in America, you have opportunities.
right, right.
You
Same. I
know,
think, again, I go back to that sports analogy. I'm writing a book called Free Agent with the same thing in mind that don't treat yourself as staff, treat yourself as as a valuable asset to any team you might work with, and look at yourself as being a free agent. And negotiation time is coming up, or it's scouting season, or what are you going to be able to talk about in the last year or two that you've done? And because I think we fall into this trap where you've been at the same place 6, 7, 8 years, and you mentioned at the top of the call that people forget about their achievements when they try to do a resume and they haven't done one in 5, 6, 7, or 8, 10 years. It's just a big black hole. What have I done? How do I account for this? And one of the things I think you and I talked about before we got on the call was even having a whiteboard or a cheat sheet or somewhere, even a noteboard. But every week, write down, here's an accomplishment, here's an accomplishment, here's an accomplishment, or put them into an Excel sheet. But basically, put them somewhere. Account for these things, right? And even if you're not job hunting, look at your old resume and update it. What have I done? So that if something happens tomorrow or next week or next month, you're ready. It's not, oh my goodness, now I have to do this again. I've already keep it's a live document, keep it alive. But anyways, Mindy, if people want to find you, LinkedIn obviously is a great place. Any other contact information that you'd like to share, so if they can, whether it's an email or website, where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. I had sent you the email information, but I can give it to you again.
I'll put it up on the podcast after.
Sure.
Um, but as far
But
as your website, what's
mstern at aimresourcegroup.com.
yeah,
And so it's mstern at aimresourcegroup.com. And the website is aimresourcegroup.com.
excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show. Lovely to chat with you as always, and we'll see you again soon.
And Lance, you have to come on our accelerated career group. We're going to get some recruiter panels next year.
I'm totally down with that. I'd love to do that.
Awesome.
Thanks again. Talk to you
Okay,
soon.
well.
Bye bye.